All right. Hi, my name is Chloe Schaefer. I am the sensory specialist for the Trenton Brewery for Molson Coors. So I work with big beer. I've been in the industry since 2018 when I completed the UC Davis Master Brewers program. Nice. And from then, I've just been in and out of various breweries until I landed this role about 2 years ago.
All right, on to Beth.
I am Beth O'Hara. I am co-owner and president of New Ales Brewing in Middletown, Ohio. We've been around for 5 years now, and I do just a little bit of everything at the bar, so that's what I do.
All right.
Hi, I'm Brittany Frey. I'm the head brewer at MadTree Brewing. Previously, I was the production brewer and production manager there. Before that, I was at Swine City Brewing, and I'm a graduate from Cincinnati State Brewing Science Program.
Hi, I'm Candace Winterbauer. I am the head cider maker at Northwood Cider. I started in the world of fermentation as a chemist, worked for Anheuser-Busch for a little bit, lived in Davis, California, love it out there, and became a dietitian, and then came back to the world of fermentation through cider.
Hi, I'm Anique Thomas. I'm the head brewer at Esoteric Brewing. I got my start at March 1st and dabbled in a couple other breweries, but now I'm back at Esoteric.
Awesome. And what I want from this panel is for it to be more of a discussion than a direct interview. So as I kind of start asking a couple guided questions, when you want to chime in on something that one of the other women up here say, that's what I want. I want you guys to be talking to each other just as much as you're talking to me. So with that being said, to start with, Beth, I'm going to kind of start with a question towards you.
Uh-oh.
There are a lot of podcasts that talk about Cincinnati breweries, and I'll hear this question more than once. Do we have any women-owned breweries in the city? And people go, I really don't know. I don't think we do. And I'm sitting here screaming at, my car radio or wherever. I'm like, there is New Ales, there is Fibonacci, there is Sonder that has, women on their founding team. There are more than what people are aware of. Why do you think people don't know that there are so many women-owned or, women founders in Cincinnati beer? Is that important for them to know? And how can we get people to realize that women play a huge role in opening and running a brewery?
I think part of it is, I think they do know. I think the minute they see a male anywhere involved, our brewer and co-owner is a male, so I think that anytime they see a male involved, I know Fibonacci is a husband and wife couple, I think they go right to him. I think that is just, unfortunately, the nature of the beast, and it is up to us to help change, the landscape of that.
And how do we do that? I know that that's a huge question.
Sure. And I'm fortunate, at least at my brewery, Weston is a huge proponent of women. And we've had a couple incidents with either Nikki or myself kind of being looked over and the person going right to Wes. And he's like, well, she knows just as much as I do. And she's an owner too. And so you have to have that support at your brewery, first of all. And we have to continue to shout from the rooftops that we not only own, but brew, market, all of those things in breweries. We're just as intelligent. We are just as sensory sensitive to what is good in beer as any male. So
sure,
we just have to keep pushing that envelope, I think.
Sure, absolutely. One of the things that you had mentioned about people kind of overlooking you or overlooking women sometimes when it comes to asking questions about beer. How many of you, I know, Anique, you have actually had a bartender role. How many of you guys have also had a role behind the bar?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
What have you noticed about moving from a role as a bartender and how customers and the general public perceive you? And Anique, I'm going to kind of poke this one at you first, to transitioning to a role elsewhere in the company, be it a brewer, an owner, quality testing. Does it feel that people think, oh, a bartender role fits a female, using air quotes for the people listening to this on podcasts, versus, well, a woman doesn't really fit what I see as a brewer? Have you noticed a shift in that in your time going from being a bartender into being a brewer or another aspect of the beer industry?
I think for sure I've noticed that there's like you were saying that it's very typical, like, oh, there's a pretty girl bartending, but then you're like, oh, there's a pretty girl that's in the production.
Mm-hmm.
Is she strong? Can she do that? Can she lift that? That's a dirty job. And so, but I do think that there is like a push to that once they find out that you were bartending and then you've worked your way up to like head brewer or whatever in production, that they do, that majority of people like support you.
Mm-hmm. But a lot of people that are just walking in, just a random, not, the big craft beer nerds, they might not see that journey and go, man, she went from being this kick-ass bartender that could really talk to me about, well, what are you feeling like tonight when I couldn't decide what I wanted to drink, to brewing the beer. What about for the general, non-craft beer essential people? Have you noticed any shift with that, or has anyone else here kind of noticed that?
People still treated me like a bartender. They walked in and they were like, excuse me, can you get me a beer, please? And I'm like,
yeah.
I'm sweating profusely. Do you not see that I'm working somewhere else?
Yeah.
You have like malt dust like covering your entire face.
Yeah, I got my boots on and they're like, I need my beer, please. And I'm like, actually, the bartender can help you, who's a guy. Like, he can help you, actually.
Anyone
you
else?
see that too, though, if you're behind the bar and a guy's behind the bar, the guys tend to go to the guys. And I will say
that as a short, young-looking female bartender, I would say 50% of the time, you come up to me and straight go, "Can I order from you?"
How does that make you? Tell me how that makes you feel.
Right.
It makes me feel like I would say no as I walk by.
Which I think you absolutely should be like, nope, you can't. Sorry, you'll have to wait for someone else.
Do you know what an old-fashioned is?
Oh man, that's condescending as hell.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And how often are you like, you can just leave now? And I'm not going to serve you. I'm going to choose not to serve someone. And I guess that's another thing for like Beth, as one of the owners, like, can you or would you empower your female bartenders to say if they're going to be
absolutely, and
that might need to be something that is a bigger story within the breweries themselves. I know it's hard to turn away money, but what do you want your culture to be?
and that's what we do. The first thing we do is, what do you know about beer? Because we're going to teach you. Because if somebody comes in and says, I don't know what I want, you need to be able to guide them to what their flavor profiles are. Or guide them to something that isn't in their flavor profile, but they should try, because maybe they'll like it. But the second thing is definitely don't take shit from anybody. And we will kick somebody out. We don't have any problem with that. I will turn down $1 in a minute if you're disrespecting our staff.
I love that.
So,
and I feel that that's the way it should be. And again, I know business is business, and it's hard to try to figure out where that line is. But you need to know your line. You need to know where your employees rank with you. And if your female employees rank lower than your male employees, to where you're not going to tell someone you need to change your attitude or you're going to get out, what does that say for the rest of your business?
Well, we only have one male employee, and he's our brewer. all the bartenders and myself and Nikki are all of the females, so we're good.
I want to say, like, talking about culture, the interview process of getting on with Northwood, literally, like, when I was reading the application, and the owner who hired me is a big white guy with a beard and long hair. He was like, I want someone that does not look like me. And in all of their job openings, they're like, we want people who aren't typically represented in this industry. That was like their main goal to hire.
That's fantastic.
And that was like one of my values. I'm like, all right, I'm there.
Now,
I work for Anheuser, and I saw what I did not want to be a part of.
And that kind of, there are two different questions that I want to stem from that, so I'm trying to figure out which way I want to go first. I think I'll stick with the cider first. Since cider is, according to the government, whoever, more of a wine than a beer product.
Yes, we are a winery.
Do you feel that people see cider makers, that's more of a feminine career rather than a brewer, even though you're basically doing the exact same thing? To some extent, I know that there are some differences between that, but do some people go, oh, well, that's more of a wine, so of course we expect to see a woman back there doing this, versus brewing beer where we expect to see a man back there? Have you run into any of that or seen anything that
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, we know that a majority of our drinkers are women. So women,
Sure.
that's the data.
Sure.
I am not aware of any of that.
Okay.
But like having worked in the brewing industry, and so I worked out in Fairfield, and there was that we went to a lot of wineries and we would exchange wine for beer. But like the ongoing joke in the Brewers Association was like, yeah, you guys have your juice. You don't have to do anything to it. It's ready. You don't have to do any work. And I'm like, there is a lot of work that actually goes into it.
They're so blissfully unaware.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I kind of like, having seen both and like the jokes out in California of like the wine industry versus the brewing. That's all I've really been a part of or aware of.
Okay. And then the second question that kind of stemmed from is both for Chloe and Candace. You've both been involved in both big beer and craft beer, one kind of starting one side and then flipping. What have you noticed about the general, I don't even want to say respect, but how women are perceived in big beer, macro beer, in those industries, in those companies versus craft? Is it the same everywhere, just different ratios because one is smaller, or do you feel that some of the bigger corporations have a better grasp on it while maybe craft beer is still trying to figure things out? Or again, vice versa, maybe the smaller craft breweries are actually going, absolutely not, women are 100% essential to what we do, and big beer is going, we have enough jobs that we can fill it with whoever. Have you have any thoughts on the two different?
It depends on the culture of your facility. Like the culture in the Trenton Brewery is pretty corporate, so coming with corporate boundaries and corporate lines of, demanding respect for your coworkers, like that is kind of a safety net, I feel, at my job a lot. But I also have never felt not looked down on, but like questioned simply because of my gender. Usually I'm questioned because I said something like, why would you say it like that? That's usually what I get. Why would you say it like that? And I'm like, well, if I said it with just like a deeper voice and a beard, you would definitely listen. So that's more of like kind of what I think of.
It's kind of, you say to a woman, well, stop being bitchy. I'm not. I'm being assertive, which is what you would call a man who says the exact same thing in the exact same way.
Yeah, I actually just have expectations of you that you need to follow through. And that is apparently unheard of. I don't know. Candace, what do you think?
Yeah, I was with Anheuser pre-InBev and post-InBev. But I went in as like a 26-year-old fresh out of college, and managed all the different shifts. So like with the brewers, there's some great ones, and then there's ones like I'm wearing baggy clothes on this midnight shift and like all of that. And then there was definitely the meetings. I would say it, no one would hear it. A man would say the exact same thing and be like, great idea, good job. And I'd just be like, and then I call it, all of us females, I worked with some amazing females with Anheuser-Busch, and they are very successful, smart women, but we called it the lateral shuffle. We just moved laterally through all the departments. I learned a lot, but you would see other people,
but you feel like you never progress.
That didn't have the time or the experience where I'm like, this is a very capable person that could do this job. So we literally called it just the lateral shuffle that I saw a lot. And then yes, my quote is like, I don't want to have to be an asshole. Like, you should listen to me. I have an opinion.
No, you should be an asshole. A man would be an asshole.
I don't want to be.
Because again, it's one of those where someone it's assertive. It's you're confident, you're assertive, and just because you're a woman, it's like, oh, you're being problematic. It's like, fuck no, I'm not. I'm saying the exact same things in the exact same way that anybody else would. You're just perceiving me as being something different because of the gender role that I'm filling.
It also
your insecurities.
Yeah, exactly.
It superbly helps to have a management system that also trusts you and advocates for your opinion to be valued in the facility that you work in. So we are a unionized facility, so I also will wear baggy clothes on certain shifts. And I will not use the gym on site for what I deem to be obvious reasons. But I never feel unsafe in the facility. It's always, people trust you, people like you, everybody knows who I am, which is really cool. I kind of like to be popular. And I don't know, it's just my manager and the quality department absolutely trust me with sensory, so they believe the things that I tell them and they listen to the things that I say. and I don't know how to like shove that into some other like craft spaces that maybe need it, but I don't know, maybe that's their like maybe they have to do it because it's like corporately demanded.
Sure.
However you want to look at that. I prefer to look at it as I'm very smart and respected.
It's because of who you are and what you know, not, do you wear a skirt or pants?
Right.
Basically.
Yeah.
So, Brittany, I'm going to throw a question starting with you, and then again, everyone else can chime in as they want. From the beginning of history, women have always played a huge role in beer, from helping to grow the hops and the barley, the fruits, carrying water to the breweries, up until now when women are owners, brewers, bartenders, sales and marketing, any type of leadership you can think of. Where do you think you've seen the biggest growth of women's voices, where they're getting louder and they're getting more heard within the industry? Because MadTree has so many different departments. I'm sure there are women in almost all of them. Do you feel that women's voices in brewing is getting stronger, or maybe sales and marketing or leadership? Where are you seeing those shifts happen?
Personally, within our walls, I would say with marketing and sales, we have some really, really strong women. Liz and Cricket, who I think some of you have met, but they have really kind of trajectoried our whole business plan, and Rhiannon has also done the same. So I'm very, very fortunate to work with those three women, but because their voices are so well heard, then mine is just as respected in the brewing and production. So I'm kind of newly into this head brewer role. Our previous head brewer I now report to, he's our director of brewing operations. He has done a beautiful thing of stepping back and letting my voice be heard over his, and making sure that when it's my idea that I'm getting credit for it. So we have a very big push in our culture there where everyone is equal. It doesn't matter what gender you are. So I think honestly within our walls, it kind of started with the top. It started with Rhiannon, and then like Liz and Cricket with our sales and marketing team, and then everyone kind of folded into it.
So do you feel that it was something where it started with one voice? One voice was able to be heard more than someone else's, which allowed the rest of the women, the rest of the voices in all the different levels to be heard more because of that? Like, did that culture kind of trickle down? I hope that makes sense.
I think it did, but it also honestly started with Brady and Kenny just saying like they wanted to step back and they wanted different voices than what they are, which are white men. They wanted to listen to somebody else because they knew they had to do it for the business. Can't just be focused on this one demographic.
How long did that take?
So Rhiannon joined us about 3-4 years ago, and she started right off as a director. And within the first year of her being a director, she became a VP. I mean, they saw it right away, and they knew what they needed to do.
That's fantastic. It's fantastic. Kind of shifting gears a little bit to something that I'm hoping will bring a little more kind of conversation between everyone. There's a question that I asked a couple of you when we met up, and some of the answers were not at all what I thought they were going to be, and I absolutely love it. There is a huge push, and there has been for several years, 5 to 10 years now, about getting more women involved in STEM careers, so science, technology, engineering, mathematics. And I asked a few of you, do you think brewing, the brewing industry, is a STEM career? Because you have all these different components. You have to understand a little bit about chemistry, a little bit about math, a little bit about engineering to make that happen. And I know that there's another version called STEAM, which includes art, but I'm kind of curious what all of you think. And again, this might be rehashing some of the same conversations that we've had, but for everyone else and together, I guess either down the line or whoever wants to talk first, is brewing a STEM career? And is that something we should be pushing these new younger generation of women to consider when they're looking into what is typically considered a STEM career?
Absolutely, it is.
Dude, I don't know. Because if some dude can walk off the street and claim to do the job and make the beer, is that STEM?
Claims is the operative word.
I mean, I guess you can do the process, but I guess understanding the why behind the process would be more STEM for me.
But do you need an actual degree for that? I mean, I've been in IT for over 20 years, and I have no actual official certifications on anything. I was just able to learn it as I went. So some people would say that, no, I am not part of that STEM career path because I don't have official training. Could I just walk up the street and do it? I would need a little bit of guidance, but you still have to understand some of those key components of, if I, try to mix these two ingredients, part of it is going to be a little bit of art. What's going to happen? You don't really know. But you also have to understand a little bit about it to know you shouldn't mix ammonia and bleach. That's kind of, well, I would hope that that's common sense for most people. And that's why, to me, it is a STEM career, even if you don't have those official little pieces of it. And just kind of those differences, like Chloe, you looked at it more from more of an education background side, I feel like, or more that very technical side. Where, Brittany and Beth and almost the rest of the table went, oh, absolutely. Even if you don't have that official training, all those pieces combine into it. So I kind of like to hear a little bit more about some of the differences.
Well, I'd say I don't need a piece of paper to tell me what I can do.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I'm fervent about that. I didn't graduate college till I was 43 years old. So
props to you for finishing.
Life kind of led me there. But I'm a criminal justice major. I have nothing to do with business or brewing or science. I'm not a STEM kid at all. Don't ask me to add 2 and 2 together because I'm going to get lucky. But I can cook like a motherfucker, and so I can follow a recipe. And so if I have somebody training me how to do it, and I'm not discounting how difficult it is to be a brewer, because it certainly is very difficult. But if you teach me, I can learn. Mm-hmm. But I'm not going to be able to go in blind. So, I'm very fortunate with our brewery that we have a microbiologist and a chemist as our brewer. That's his background. Mm-hmm. And he can teach me, if he would have more patience, he can teach me how to do what he does. But I don't have to have a piece of paper to learn it. Mm-hmm. So I think anybody can do it. And I mean that in the most respect for the people who do it, but you have to have the patience. You have to have some common sense to be able to learn to do it. Mm-hmm. You're not going to it's not a self-taught thing, in my opinion. And please
not even
correct
with
me
the
if
Mr.
I'm
Beer
wrong,
kit?
but I don't know.
It's like you just use the words like, we're very fortunate to have a chemist biologist as our brewer, but that's not a requirement by any means. And even if you look at job applications for stuff, it's never a requirement usually to have a science background. No. It's usually like experience, manufacturing, engineering, which again, they're like strongly suggested, but it's not required. Mm-hmm. Like literally anybody could apply for those roles unless it specifically says you need to have a bachelor's degree.
Right.
Like, I think it's pretty equal game for artists, engineers, mathematicians.
Makes sense. So for Candace and Anique to kind of get you into this a little bit more, if you have a group of high school seniors, that's kind of when they really are pushing, look into these STEM careers, try to find something when you get into college that you want. Do you think that brewing or something in the brewing industry should very well be on that same list as going into chemistry or, ergonomic engineering or mechanical engineering, any of those? Should brewing or any part of the brewing industry also be on that list because of all those different components that I feel like you do have to have at least an understanding and an appreciation for if you want to get into the industry? A lot of women might not even realize it's an option because it's some math, it's some chemistry, it's some tech stuff, and I'm not a guy. What the hell's that about? Put it on the list. Get those women into at least looking at it. I mean, your thoughts on either of those?
I think definitely, like when you asked me that question when we met, that I definitely do think it is a STEM job because, I mean, obviously, in the end, I joke that like we're just janitors, like we just clean.
Yeah.
And so like yes, to have the scientific background is important. Like I think it's good. Like I have an environmental science degree. I don't have a brewing degree, but I definitely take what I've learned from like labs and from just day-to-day things to like, and I apply it to what I do. And you can and like obviously you should be creative too. Like you have to have some creativity, but I feel like if you are able to follow a recipe, but you also and you're able to read and like comprehend what's going on, but you also have to be like careful and like Beth was saying, patient, because you could read it and you can just go for it and be creative as you want, but if you overlook something or you're dirty or like you're not careful, it's going to mess up. And so I definitely think that you could almost put this in like maybe I'm trying to think, what are those schools that
like a trade school?
Like a trade school.
Yeah,
I think you could almost combine it into both, where you can have a science background, but you can also put it in the trade, because I feel like, and this is a side tangent, but I think the trade jobs, especially like maybe not our kids' generation, but the kids after us, like there'll be a push for trade jobs again. It'll be okay not to go to college, and I think
absolutely,
and so I think maybe that's our resurgence of like these trade jobs, and maybe that's where we stick brewing.
That's a good point.
That's where it was before universities and things started capitalizing on. Oh, do you want to get into the industry? Like, why don't you come to the school, pay me a bunch of money, and we'll be able to get you in with this little title at the top of your resume.
Yeah,
that's partially why I went to UC Davis, to be honest with you. But, like, I don't know, just like being a tattoo artist is a trade, and that is a delicate art form, but also like you have to know how ink interacts with your skin and how to clean things properly, like how to be sanitary, how to follow directions really, really well. You can only get one shot at someone's tattoo.
Very true.
I agree with the STEAM comment. I'm a big believer of like, I loved chemistry. Everyone's like, why are you studying chemistry? I'm like, I don't know, I like it. So I'm a big believer in that like step process of like, I have a passion for this. I don't know where it's going to take me, but I want to do it. But the art factor, that kind of like, let's be open-minded, let's allow things to like come at me that I might create something from. But it is STEM. I mean, like my 5th grader right now, he's doing conversions and learning about labs. I'm like, ooh, this is exciting for me. Like, let's talk about lab, and they enjoy all that. So that's, some people come to it naturally. I was always jealous of those people in like 5th grade. I'm going to be a doctor. And they went and did it. I was like, I'm 38 and I don't know what I'm going to do, but, but following your passions. And I think that just allowing life to bring you where it needs to be, which to me, like brewing is so much. It's like so many different caveats that some people just kind of fall into it of like, yes, this is what I was meant to do.
And that's what I feel like a lot of people either don't understand or they kind of discount brewing and say, oh, it's just throwing a bunch of stuff in, letting it ferment, and boom, you have beer, when I've never brewed anything in my life, and even I know that there is so much more to it. It's more akin to baking than cooking. To cook something, you just put in whatever, and like it can turn out great. If you bake something and you're like 1 grain of salt over, the whole recipe's fucked, and you just have to dump it. So I guess that brings into, is baking a STEM career potentially if you are a baker and you're making
chocolate chip cookies.
Exactly.
I always equate brewing to chocolate chip cookies because it's like the best metaphor you can use. All your ovens are different temperatures, different racks, different everything. If you put too much chocolate in there, your cookie's not going to rise right. If you use too much baking soda, too much this, like you can tell by eating a chocolate chip cookie who put time and effort into weighing out the ingredients and who didn't. And not everybody makes good cookies. Sorry. Your grandma might make shitty cookies, to be honest with you. But like, they're baked with love, so you love them anyway. Like your best friend might be a great brewer, but like his beer actually might suck.
Well, and I'm going to use Unique's words, which is clean. I can tell you, I could sit at a bar or a brewery and tell you if you've cleaned your lines, if CIP was done correct, because it tastes like dishwater. If it is not clean,
or all you taste is the previous beer,
and it's a huge. You're not just a janitor, because that is very scientific to be able to clean out your barrels and making sure everything is good with your lines, because you can taste it. You can taste it, and that's a big thing for me. Is Grandma might make some good cookies, but if they're just a little bit burnt or the salt's just off, you're gonna know it.
You're gonna know it
with beer.
Yeah, she hasn't washed that pan in a little bit. Keep all the flavor.
It's not seasoned, Grandma. It's dirty.
seasoning works for pizza stones, not for cookie sheets.
Exactly.
That's what it all boils down to. Do you guys each have either a mentor or someone? Good Lord, I apologize. Either a mentor or a female who was in the brewing industry that you drew your desire to get more into brewing or quality assurance from, or is it just your own interest that got you into the industry and not necessarily what someone else was doing?
Yeah, so I kind of had both instances where I needed a career change. I was burnout where I was. Thank you, no.
Thank you, Andrew.
You want us to be right up
He
on
doesn't
here.
like when I call him that. Oh, okay, yeah. Well, your real name. Anyways, so yeah, I kind of had both. I was burnout, and I needed something different. So my sister kind of pulled me into the Cincinnati Brewing program.
Okay.
And she just had finished their culinary program there. So during that program, I met Carla Gazelle Streeter, and I also met Betty Bolus through that program. And Betty was amazing and just kind of took me under her wing and really helped me throughout that 2-year education program and made sure that when I finished that I had some good feet underneath me and was in the right brewery to help me continue to grow. So I would not be here today without Betty. Absolutely.
Shout out to Betty.
Yeah, Betty's
Yeah,
amazing.
absolutely. Absolutely. Anyone else have kind of how they got into the industry, really found out that you loved it and wanted to be a part of it regardless of the proliferance or lack thereof of women in the industry?
I have 3 women specifically that I can
Yes.
think of. 2 of them are here right now. One of them is Brittany.
Yay!
100%. Brittany is one of the reasons why I found esoteric. I mean, if you hadn't told me to go apply, then who knows where I've been at.
I did kick your butt.
Yeah, you're like, you have to go. And then the other one is Danielle Stickmiller. She works at Rheingeist right now. She's been a real rock for me when I was like trying to figure out what I wanted to do in my brewing career when things were a little turbulent. Like I just relied heavily on her. And then my other one is my best friend, Beth Cannell. She's sitting over there. I'm going to pay attention to her.
You're back.
Her and I like have just grown, like our friendship has been like kind of surrounded by beer, but just like we just like hang out, have beers together. And she was in the industry and like I knew all her friends. I was like, get me in there. And it worked out. Like I got my first job bartending, which I never bartended at March 1st. And like it was a lot to learn, but like they believed in me and that's how I got my foot in the door. So if it wasn't for like these women, I don't know what I'd be doing.
Mm-hmm. It's fantastic. So Beth, could I actually call you up to talk on the mic for just 2 seconds? It'll be a little more than 2 seconds. I'm not going to lie to you.
She's like, dang it.
I got out of this one. So as someone who is in the graphic design space of a brewery, how have you seen women's role in that space in breweries? How are there many women in kind of the graphic design marketing space? And again, are those voices getting louder or is that still a more male dominant part of the industry?
I mean, that's an interesting question because I feel like there are maybe more women in the marketing space in general. Design is kind of like, I didn't go to design school. I kind of like got into it after I got out of school. I have a background in fine art, which was definitely more like, I would say there are more women in that field, but I think there are probably more men in graphic design. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like I, have had like great spaces to be heard, in our industry. So I think that it's, a really positive thing that I've experienced, just being in our industry and it's kind of a dual thing for me, right? Mm-hmm. In design and in the brewing industry. Mm-hmm. So
your designs are always fantastic. Every time I see a can, I'm like, look what Beth's doing now. This is so freaking fantastic. So are there more men in the design space Do you feel, or do you think that, and I feel like a complete asshole saying this, but because it is a more artistic side,
Yeah.
do women tend to gravitate, and that is more of the voices that you do have?
I mean, I think that in my experience, it does seem to be a little more male dominated. It's not like the brewing industry, like on the production side, in my opinion. So I think it's a little more balanced.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you. Really appreciate you.
Thanks. Okay.
All right. Is it just things too close together, or?
Hello.
I mean, I talk really loud.
Yeah.
You can definitely turn mine
Yeah, I
down.
was gonna say I can get loud.
Which loud is good. I mean, women need to get louder in this space.
I'm gonna kind of just answer that question though about
Yeah.
I've been surrounded by incredible women all my life, but I will say I had 3 incredible men who pushed me
Okay.
to get into the industry and be better, and that has to be appreciated.
Oh, yeah.
To
Yeah.
me,
For sure, yeah.
you know, I had you might know Andy Algeier. He and I used to work together before Fig Leaf opened up. Hunter Hoffman, if anybody knows him, unfortunately passed away. He was an incredible influence. And then my brewer, was awesome. And they were just like, no, trust what you're doing, trust what you're doing, trust what you're doing. And without those men saying women can do this, to me, it was pretty incredible. So
I'm going to kind of step back a couple conversations and ask you more about something you do on the side. You do with some wonderful other guys a bourbon
I do.
YouTube show.
sure.
When you have guests, and this is kind of the same for walking up to the bar, if you have guests and you're talking to someone else about bourbon, do you feel like they're talking to you or to your male counterparts?
Definitely to the men.
To the men counterparts, even
Definitely to the men.
when you step in and you say something that is
Yep.
much more insightful, much
Yep.
more educated than the men.
Yep.
How do we change that? How do we get people to
Just
realize?
keep talking.
Keep talking and keep talking.
Keep talking.
loudly.
And don't let them go. If they ask you a question, you start to answer, and they kind of interrupt and go to the men. Don't You're not doing that to me. You're
Yeah.
going to ask me a question, I'm going to answer it.
Be assertive. Be confident.
assertive.
Yeah.
I just don't let anybody talk over me. I just don't. If you've got a question and I'm going to answer it, let me answer it.
Mhm.
I'm not going to let you belittle me. I'm not going to let you second guess what I know to be true.
Mhm.
So you have to just keep talking.
And I love that you said, don't question what I know or even make me question what I know. Because Chloe and I talked a bit about imposter syndrome when we were having our conversation. Right. Everyone's like, oh, God, yes, this. Do you think that imposter syndrome is much more prevalent in women in the brewing industry because it is such a male-dominated force? And how is that affecting the number of women that leave the industry because they end up second guessing themselves and feeling, do I actually know what I think I know?
I have something to say about what you just said, Beth,
okay.
about how, if someone asks you a question, you're going to answer. I think it's also up to the men standing by to step aside
Correct.
and be like,
Correct.
allow this person to answer this
Yes.
question that you need because she knows what's going on. Like, shout out to all the strong men who are able to step aside and say, I actually don't know as much, but she does. And that's hot.
Absolutely. No, well, not the guys that I work. No offense to those two, but
But has imposter syndrome ever shown up for you personally, like during your day-to-day role in the breweries?
Literally right now.
Like,
I'm going to sing cocky, but I'm going to say no because it's just. And I think I'm older than everybody on this panel, quite a bit older than everybody on this panel. So I just have liked craft beer for so long and feel like my palate has developed so much over the years that I don't second guess what I like. I don't second guess what I taste. I don't second guess, what I think goes well with what. I just don't anymore. And I'm very comfortable in that. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody has different tastes. If you're going to ask what mine is, I'm not going to let you question what I taste or what I like.
that's fair.
So I don't have imposter syndrome in that. I know what I'm capable of.
Good. That's awesome. We need more of that confidence just
Yeah.
overall.
Yeah.
So, Brittany, how about you? Have you ever?
Yeah, I never thought when I went back to school in 2019 that I would be head brewer of my favorite brewery in Cincinnati. It's
But
been,
you are.
but I am, and I made sure that I was the clear choice when that job came available. So I think a lot of my quote unquote imposter syndrome has been not as heavy as it could be because I have a great support system. My husband believes in me. My previous head brewer, who's my manager, believes in me. Like every day, it's just conversations with them and the women that are around me that make those like intrusive thoughts of like I can't do this dissipate because I have that support network.
Good. And Candace, how about you?
I don't think I've ever had it. I've been fortunate enough to have confidence my whole life. And if someone doesn't believe in me, I'm kind of like, well, fuck off. I'm not going to like allow you to be.
That's a you problem, not a me.
Yeah, that's not, because I'm okay being like, I'm okay not knowing things and I'm okay failing. And like, to me, that's very important in the learning process, which I'm sure that's like held me back in some ways, but also I'm like, if you don't trust me or want to appreciate my knowledge, then I'm going to move on and be better somewhere else.
Yeah.
But yeah, that support, like I've always had family, like my husband, family, they're like, yeah. I had so many friends when the job posted at the cidery, because I mean, I was a dietitian at Tri-Health, just like, do. They're like, you need to do this. And I'm like, oh, I don't know.
Oh, gosh.
It's like full time and all that kind of stuff. But just having that confidence and knowing like, I'm okay if I don't know that. That's not going to make me a less person or less knowledgeable person in this field.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, I never made cider before I worked at Northwood. So like,
And here you are making some absolutely
bring it
phenomenal.
on. Bring it on. Let's do it.
That's awesome. And anything that has ever popped up for you going from really like the entrance into craft beer all the way up to being the brewer at Esoteric?
I never really had imposter syndrome until I've worked at 3 different breweries in the past couple years. And only one, I don't want to shit talk brewery at all.
Sure.
Because I learned a lot from them.
You can whisper.
It's the one brewery that I worked at, and there's a lot of different other factors too, but I definitely felt it. I went from pretty much the head brewer to this brewery where I felt such heavy imposter syndrome, and it's one of the reasons why I left. And then I'm back at Esoteric, officially the head brewer, and I'm like, I know what I'm doing. So I definitely...
So it all boils down to that support structure and really the leadership around you.
It was a support structure. The leadership was fine. It was, I think, just the people that were on my team that... I don't know. I felt it so heavily.
They just didn't believe you.
It was a lot of different, because I generally think I'm a very confident person, but then when that kicked in, and then I second guessed everything. And it was quite awful, honestly.
So we clearly know at this table who needs to go to therapy. It's me and you. We've been through something traumatic. Oh, great.
Yay. What do each of you think is the most important thing that anybody who is not already in the brewing industry, just your average drinker, me, I mean, again, I have imposter syndrome now I'm talking to all of you like I know what you are all going through. I've never brewed. I just love craft beer. I love Cincinnati, and I love trying to raise up women's voices. What can the common person do to really get the word out, to really lift women up in this industry that is still very male-dominated? And there may not be an answer to that, but if you can think of anything, is it just buying the beer that is coming, the beer and the cider that are coming from places that do have that very strong support of women in every role that they do? Is it trying to ensure people know that these breweries are women-owned, women-founded? Is it not buying beer from places that don't have a single female employee in their location? I mean, how do you try to...
That could be no fault of their own.
Sure, right. Not necessarily saying that, but
yes, no.
But what do you do, right? I mean, it's such an important thing. It's such a core part of the craft beer community, I feel like, because it's all about everyone's welcome. Is it? what can we do to make sure that more women are able to get into the industry without feeling like they might not have the support structure that they want, or that they might not have the backing from the people coming in and out of breweries saying, oh, well, if a woman made this beer, I don't know how good it's going to be. Things that are kind of extremes, but I'm sure there's still people that come into these places day in and day out that make them second guess, do I want to get a second pint? Or, should she be at the tank and not just behind the bar? Like, what can we do to try to make that better? Is there anything we can do other than what we're doing now?
Also, you're just as qualified because you like craft beer probably as much as the rest of us do. So why don't we quell that one right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one is keep supporting each other, keep getting our voices out there. Like you walk into my brewery, it says women owned. You walk into my brewery, we've got Wes, who's usually hiding in the brew house making beer.
He's hiding behind that 2-foot tall wall. He has to duck down.
He is. But we've got women working behind the bar. We've got women selling beer. We've got women doing all of our media stuff. So we just support each other, and that's the big thing. You are qualified because you like craft beer. You talk about craft beer. You just keep doing that. And somebody says something negative, correct them. We're also, not only are we women owned, we're LGBTQIA owned. And we talk about that stuff. We have flags in our brewery. I'm an open lesbian and I don't care. I own a brewery. I am a woman, and if you like our shit, good. If you don't, you will find it somewhere else. Go ahead.
Yeah. I don't think I could have said, I didn't say it better myself. So I am glad you were able to take that one. And yeah, so just check with your breweries, see who they are, what they do, what they support, and go for that. And Candace, I hope that saying brewery all the time doesn't sound like it's discounting a cidery.
No.
No, I always have to say you'd have to literally hit one of my kids for me to be offended. So it's fine. Yeah, all good.
If you could have, this is kind of a non-women focused question. If you could have a drink, just sit down with a pint with anyone you wanted from history, living or dead. If dead, they would be resurrected for that time to not make it weird. Who would you love to have a beer with, and why? And everyone's going, oh, holy shit, I don't know.
Oh, no, I know my answer, but I feel like I've talked a lot, so I want to...
I'm still thinking.
I mean, if it
alive or dead, like that.
100% Anthony Bourdain.
Oh, that was going to be my
That's a great answer. That was going to be
100% Anthony Bourdain. Yeah. He not only was, I never got to taste his food, but an incredible storyteller. He is just, I had said years before I even got to the industry, I wanted to be his production assistant. What a dream job, just to travel all over the world, taste all these incredible foods, get drunk with him. But that's 100% without a doubt first person on my list.
And he also kind of fits your I don't want to say theme of, if you don't like it, well, fuck him. Just find something else that you do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Anyone else have any? I know Anik. I know that she kind of.
No, it's great. It's a great answer.
She did give me a chance.
Man. So now everyone at the table's like, "Yep, that was mine too." Okay, we're
You're
on.
welcome.
I'm a very holistic person, so it's not anyone in general, but I would say pre-prohibition, I would have loved to sit down with any farm wife woman who's just like, hey, here's the apples I pressed and I fermented, and get those like original recipes.
That's awesome.
That'd be cool.
I love food. Obviously, I'm a dietitian and all of that, but like the flavors and like anything native that we can use, but just like, hey, I walked by the sidewalk and I pulled this, and kind of that, just those original farmhouse recipes of this is how we made our alcohol.
Sure. Perfect answer. Brittany or Chloe, any other thoughts?
Mine's alive. I would love to have a beer with Garrett Oliver.
That's a good one too.
I think he's doing some amazing things for the industry currently. I met one of his proteges, Breeze, this past weekend in Yakima, and just the work that he's doing to kind of elevate this industry and make it more diverse. Like, I want to dive into his mind and just have some really good conversations with him.
Mine is not nearly as thoughtful as that, but my favorite time to have a beer is with my friends and family who are with me. So
Hey,
I just like to enjoy it with them. Like, that's my favorite thing about beer is that, like, you get to have it with people that you love. So.
My second one was Tay Tay. So,
That's a good one. Do you think she drinks beer we
I've seen her.
We could get her to drink beer.
Well, she's all garage beer right now. So.
Oh, that's true.
She definitely has some beers in the suite.
I can see that. Yeah.
I don't want to be nervous having a beer with somebody. Then I'll probably just not, I don't know, I'll probably talk myself into a hole or something.
I have a feeling she'd make you feel very calm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
so.
Just
I
chill.
think
I'm
so.
going to roll with that. That sounds nice.
Yeah.
That's our truth. I mean, that's what we're going to say. She's going to make you feel completely at ease.
Julia, who would you have a beer with?
I've been trying to think of this since I first started writing down these questions. And I think that I would love to sit down and have a beer with my late grandpa. He always had Coors in the fridge. He always had, some type of Bud product in the fridge. And I just remember him sitting with my uncles, my grandma, after dinner, beer in hand, and he was just content. He was just so content, even if nothing was being said at all. And I never really got that opportunity with him. So if I could just be in his presence once again, with both of us having just that adult beverage in our hands, that is 100% what I would like to do. Just give me one more hour.
There you go.
And I'll be perfectly happy. And now I have to try to get myself a little bit back together now. Thank you.
Sorry.
All good. That kind of covered most of the questions that I had down, and a lot of the conversations flowed, exactly how I wanted them to. So I think what I'll do is, just because I don't want to have an awkward, let's try to force the conversation, we'll go ahead and kind of wrap things up. That way we all have as much time as we want to just hang out, continue to meet and greet and talk with everyone that was so gracious to come out tonight. Thanks you to everyone out here in the tap room. I do want to close by asking all of you to, if you have anything you want to plug or share or promote for either your brewery, your personal life, anything at all, even if you just want to say, have a stubby bottle of Banquet the next time you're out somewhere.
That's so true.
Nothing like a good stubby.
Whatever you want to do, just because I appreciate all of you so much for being willing to come and sit with me for an hour or more, really 2 hours or more, depending on if we got to meet up beforehand. Brittany, you were the first person that reached out and said, hey, I want to be involved in this. What can I do? I cannot thank you enough for kind of spearheading the charge in making sure that I was able to get off my ass and get all of this up and running. So Chloe, thank you. I'm stumbling over myself already. Thank you so much for being here. Common friend in Lee, who is absolutely fantastic. Is there anything final that you... Oh, yes.
I think we have a question.
Oh my God, we have questions from the audience.
Yes. Oh, questions from the audience. Yes. Do you want to come on up and... If you want to grab whatever mic you're closest to. Oh, yeah. Okay. Sure.
I don't work on the business side.
All right, I work on the business side.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That's
Thank you.
fantastic. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. What's your name?
Bless you.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah, we will find you. Yeah, absolutely. Is there anyone seeing that has any questions for any of our absolutely amazing panelists tonight? Please. Jason? You got nothing?
I have a question for all the ladies. If you were a beer, what beer would you be?
Ooh.
It's like my favorite interview question to ask people.
Ooh, that's fun.
I have to add that to
Dank
Depends on the
and
time of the
tiny.
month.
It's my personality.
Not wrong.
Depends on the time of the month.
It depends on
Right now.
right now. At this moment in time. That's what we'll try to limit it to. Chloe, do you want to start since you had the question?
What's my typical answer is like an IPA because usually people don't like me at first, but then I really grow on you. Yeah.
All right.
Dank and piney.
Hell yeah.
That's me. I mean, I smell good, but dank and piney. That's what I like.
It's a refined taste right there.
That's right.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
You either love me or you hate me.
That's a great question, Chloe. I meant to add that to my interview.
Add it to your interview. Yeah, we used to do it at Third Eye when we were interviewing people, and they'd be like, "Oh my god, I don't even know how to answer that."
Yeah, you stumped me. I would fail your interview.
No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't.
You're hired. You don't know. It's just
Just go with it. I honestly, I think like a lager. Like
Okay.
maybe a little dry hop lager.
Ooh.
Little twist
Nice.
to it, but
Nice.
still classic. Yeah.
I like it.
All right.
Only mostly what you expect.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I'm a Bach girl. I love
Oh,
Bach.
yes.
I love malts.
Yes.
I'm a
Take it.
multi. That's like I have to. But then my perfect dinner is a Budweiser and some popcorn. So I had to throw that.
Girl dinner.
How buttery is that?
Are you like extra movie butter popcorn?
And a
want
little
you
bit
to
of
sauce it, but I was keep-
reduced balsamic glaze on that.
Ooh.
popcorn.
Oh my goodness!
Did you pump it in bacon fat?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, of
Yes.
Oh my god, bacon fat popcorn's the best.
Oh.
Annie?
I think I'd definitely be a farmhouse ale. You could
Ooh.
be like a
I
little
like that.
weird,
I
a
like
little
that.
less horse blankety. Depends on my mood.
Horse.
Love it.
It just depends. Again, time of the month. But I say farmhouse
Sometimes
ale.
you get a little bit funky. Other
Some a little
times,
funky, some a little chill, some a little like.
That's
like it.
fantastic.
What beer would you be?
I'm going to say a stout because it can be either incredibly just boozy and strong and people are like, I'm just not into this, all the way to super sweet to where this is too sweet, I'm not into this. There's a whole range there that I think I could probably fit into.
Nice.
I like it. Full-bodied or
I was
thin.
going to say IPA for that same reason. I'm like, well, we already had a bunch of IPAs. Stout can kind of fall into that same
Absolutely.
spectrum. So,
Absolutely.
So why not? Why not? All right. Well, Chloe, you said you didn't really have anything you wanted to promote or shout out or anything? All right. Just Beth?
Aside from come see my brewery,
Yes. Get up to
I
Middletown.
am a part-time Ashevillean, so if you are so inclined, please contribute to beloved Asheville. They are having a hard time down there. I was there during the hurricane. My house is fine. We're fine, but it is absolutely devastating what's going on down there. My plan was to retire there someday. I don't know that that's going to happen now because it's going to be totally different, but just keep Asheville in your prayers and your thoughts. That's near and dear. So,
Yeah, I had to touch base with a lot of my vendors down there, and thankfully they're all safe. Yeah, it was heartbreaking.
absolutely.
For sure. We've got a couple of our new beers coming out. Holidays, which was voted as the best IPA in the world, is coming back to tap.
What's it called?
Holidays.
Okay.
It's a spruce tip IPA with spruce tips from Colorado, Eureka, and Sultana hops. It'll be available starting November 4th. Yes. But if you want some sneak peeks, please let me
Yes.
know. Yes. I will.
And you guys host a Ascending Women series every month, different themes, different women speakers.
Yes, yeah, I think I'm so bad at following everything we have going on. But yes,
That's what I'm going to try to
thank
help
you, Julia, for plugging that. Yeah, we have Ascending Women. It's spearheaded from International Women's Day. But yes, Ascending Women every month. All the talks are different. I think this month is actually environmentally focused.
Yeah, plants and
which
trees.
is
Yes.
A part of Cincinnati Beer Week.
There you go.
I air quote it.
Sort of.
It's happening during Cincy Beer Week,
Yes.
so therefore it is a part of Cincy Beer Week. Yes.
I want to talk about October 19th. I live in Norwood. I'm on council in Norwood. People are tired of me saying I love Norwood.
Hey, don't talk shit about Norwood, okay?
I want to make a sign that says, don't be crappy about Norwood.
I love it.
Crab apples?
Do it.
I don't know. Trying. So October 19th, if you've never been to the Cider, we have this amazing park across the street. They're doing the Norwood Historic Homes Tour, which is a lot of fun and really cool. And paired with the Cider, we're doing an apple festival. There'll be live music. There'll be everything apples, everything fall if you're a fall person. And the tour is really cool too. The Cidery's not involved with that, but that's just a really cool Norwood thing.
Is going to the park across the street part of Adora area, or is it not?
No, it's not.
Okay.
And since I'm on council, I'm not allowed to talk about it.
Okay.
But they do shut down the street. So like it's a whole like the street shut down.
Okay.
And I'm not going to talk about drinking in the park because
You're not allowed to drink in the park. That's all we're going to say.
Unless you get caught.
not a lot of people do drink in the park.
Everything's legal unless you get caught.
You don't drink.
No,
You're saying.
no, I do not. October 19th. But yeah, check it out.
All right.
For Esoteric, just be on the lookout on our social media we've got big things planned kind of towards the beginning of the year. A lot of things have changed at Esoteric, I think for the good. I think we've got like a really good crew. And so just be on the lookout. And just in general, just go out and support your local breweries. It's a hard time right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird time in industry.
Absolutely.
A lot of things are changing. Go out there. If you love a brewery, go support them.
Yes.
Because you don't know
And
what's gonna
Esoteric
happen.
just released a Baltic Porter that is absolutely phenomenal.
Yes, that's my
If you
child.
like
I
that
love
style-
that's my baby.
The crowler was gone in no time. I gave my Josh absolutely none of it. I'm like, nope, this is mine, all mine. So amazing job,
Thank
brilliant
you.
beer.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely love
Yeah,
it.
be on the lookout. We're coming out with a lot of new beer. I'm in charge. I'm in charge of the calendar. It's going to happen. It's
Excellent.
time.
Excellent. And something tying back to our conversation, did you figure out your favorite fossil and or gemstone?
I did
your
not.
favorite rock. Okay.
did
That'll be
not.
next time.
Yes, next
That'll
time.
Be next time.
Hey, can I just say one more thing?
Absolutely.
Marco, thank you so much, Gnome, for coming out, and Julie for having us, because the more we get out there, the bigger the women's voice is going to be. So thank you guys for all that. Marco,
Yes.
we appreciate it.
Yes, I'm hoping to make this a yearly thing, just a rotating panel every year for Cincy Beer Week.
You're not having me back.
Well,
I think
you
that's
can
what I'm
still show
saying.
up and I'll give you a mic anyway, but if we get as many different voices as we
Absolutely.
can. It was so hard this year to, like, when you start writing down all the names of all the amazing women in beer, it's like, how do I keep this limited? Otherwise, I'm just going to have 30 people. I'm not going to have any way of controlling anything that's happening. I had to limit it. And I can't wait to bring more and more people into this group to let their voices be heard as loud as humanly possible. Thank you to Woodburn for having us. Marco, thank you very much for giving us the space. There is a beer on tap for Cincy Beer Week / the Women in Beer panel called Metsema. It is named after the Estonian goddess and protector of the forest.
It's delicious.
So for a piney and dank
Is that your
APA,
beer?
that's
Did you
the one
get
that
to
I got
name it?
That's the one that I got to name. So,
It's delicious.
I already claimed a keg collar. I'm like, I need something with that name on it because I don't know if my participation in the craft beer community will ever eclipse getting to name a beer. It is ridiculous, and I still have no words for it.
Oh, I do have something.
Yes, go for it.
Drink your beer cold. Drink it fresh. Do not save it for all these special occasions you may or may not have.
Absolutely.
Drink it now.
Absolutely.
Drink
Good,
your-
good
Drink it
advice.
now.
Yep.
Drink your
Drink the
beer. With that being said, thank you all so very, very much. This will go out on the Truth, Beer, and Podsequences podcast feed, and anyone else whose podcast feed wants to share it. The more this gets out there, the better. The Gnarly Gnome was gracious enough to put this all on video, so as long as I didn't mess up something with that, it will be on YouTube as well. I'll send everyone on the panel a link to that as soon as I have everything put together. But with that being said, let's just enjoy the rest of the night and have a beer.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.